Hey everybody, Brother Kenneth here on the Art of the Deals. I'm going to get to what is the big and ultimate goal of what we do and what anybody perceives to do, exorcisms, deliverance, or spiritual warfare counseling or anything. What is the ultimate goal? Anybody know? That'd be probably worthy of a live show. But the ultimate goal, first off, let me start with a metaphor of a sort. The family calls exterminator. The exterminator tells how much. He comes over, and basically he sprays around the house and everything. And, next thing you know, the roaches the next day are seen around the house, feet up in the air, dead. Okay? He leaves, but he did not get the nest. He did not get the family trained on ways you can keep roaches out of your house. Don't bring boxes from the shed, that aren't sealed. And, you name the list of many things that can relate to what will draw roaches, what will feed them, what you can do to keep them away, with your little small self-help solutions that doesn't require the big guns, which is in the same way, jumping over, as exorcism. Exorcism under the church is the big guns. What can be done without going all the way to an exorcist? Okay, so using this metaphor, we notice that the ghost hunting teams, because we're mainstream, everybody, just to let you know, we have to be mainstream because preaching to the choir isn't enough. And we have enough time, we're self-employed and so forth, I go to Mass every morning, that we can actually deal with a number of different, faiths, but I think it's kind of pointless if I'm going to go over to somebody who's actually a pagan beliefs, like Hindu, and then it would be pointless unless they're going to agree to changing their faith. Now that's a more easy to see thing right there. How about you can call them neo-pagans even when they're Christians and they mix their beliefs. People don't seem to understand that you can't do what Solomon did. And I got to repeat Solomon again, my favorite story, not really. So what is the ultimate goal of these ministries? Exorcism, deliverance, spiritual warfare, self-help or not. What is the ultimate goal? Okay, so if I go to a place, it's a successful deliverance. Jesus is always in the team, because without Jesus we could not do it as mere mortals, order things out in the name of Jesus Christ. But the ultimate goal is you have to think about your destination. The ultimate destination, the ultimate goal of your life is the same as these hauntings. Like I had told people many times, when you are noticing haunting things, rapping and stuff, it's actually a blessing. You look at their life, you find out they need an overhaul on a spiritual level, and this is bringing the attention. You need a bath because you got the body lice and you got fleas and everything like that. What happens if you didn't notice you had fleas and body lice? That there's no indications of it. And they burrowed under your skin and caused all these physical health ailments, and you still were clueless. People are clueless on this stuff a lot, on how they can be influenced, affected, health, money, everything, and they wouldn't know it unless things go bump in the night. And this is what you got to focus on. What's the big goal again about this world? It's about where we go in the afterlife, not about how much fun we had in this world and how many things. All right, anyway, so the goal is always going to be that you get them in the right place and you leave, and then you can ride off in the sunset, put your cowboy hat on that's strung on your back or whatever, get your guitar out that's also on your back, and you leave that place and you're smiling like, job success, high five everybody, and do you check back in a couple weeks? Because it's not going to last. You remember in the Bible, after, the demon's driven out, and then they will go look for 7 more evil than itself. Basically, they'll come in and it'll return. We've seen that. I didn't go around and act like the Bible was my reference for demonology because it's too vague. You can't do that. You can't get out of Bible college as a Protestant and then go around, even if you're a PhD and you went for 8 years, act like you're suddenly an expert in demonology. You're not. It doesn't have it in there. If that was true, then every demon you would cast out, it would immediately leave. You'd immediately get the name when you ask for it in the name of Jesus, instead of them holding it away from even the exorcist, who can work on them for several months and still not get a name. Ask Father Rippinger about that. The Bible is vaguely referenced. It's not a manual on spiritual warfare on those higher degrees, especially. It gives us some ideas. So when the spirit leaves the person because, say, some exorcist drove it out or whatever, it comes back with 7, more like himself, 7 times worse. That's still way worse. Cases over and over again, we saw that, hey, that's in the Bible, I'd pointed out in the past, like case from early 2000, for example, the guy was oppressed. He heard the voices and et cetera, et cetera. It was perfectly diagnosed as an oppression. He basically invited it back in by doing what we told him not to do psychic readings. He was told that by Father Francis McNutt in Florida, and when he actually got that, it was successful, and he even had a back pain and his kidney go away, which is common because demons bury themselves, burrow rather, of a certain way into an organ. They don't sit there and go form-fitting, they just walk into you and they have a head here. Remember, they're spirits. They're not humanoids. They don't even have human form. When they do that, they're showing themselves for our sake, or it's a point light, bright or not, however it be. So the Bible references just validate like it does for the church, but alone it's not enough, and that's another topic in itself, that we're going to find some things in there we're going to see totally applicable, although it doesn't happen in every situation. You have to fill when that demon leaves, and it's your responsibility. You can't get some priest to shove it in you, or a spiritual director or whoever. Pastoral care is not going to involve that. It's self-control. It's your. That's why we emphasize self-help. No one does still. It's like, did anybody learn about the self-help things? Don't they get satisfied by helping somebody? Really? By not even showing up on their doorstep with your ghost gadgets and everything? It's like, that's the point. Try to not be glorified and to work toward your glorification by always having to do this elaborate thing, play the music and they show the guys in the truck going there talking about the case on the way, and they get there and they don't do the right stuff. You help them to get it out of there, and you bring in a fake priest on Baggins, for example. I mean, that's assuming it's all true, because they stage and script a lot of these stuff. We know, all right? We've been around a while, so trust me on that. If they do not get these people in line with their faith properly and warn them that this is what's going to happen, you have to change. You have to stay this way the rest of your life. You cannot change. Like what they say about type 2 diabetes, we found out that you can actually cure it. And just about anybody, depends on how bad your health is failing around it. A lot of things are self-help. You know what? That's another example of self-help. You don't need to go to a doctor and get insulin and all that stuff. You might do in a panic initially, but if you immediately change your diet, and that's how it is with this. This is changing of your diet. You don't leave the place with them hanging like that where you didn't help them fill up that void. The thing the demon easily popped into is a lack of, and don't say this lack of faith, faith alone, well, don't start that. That's why that's wrong. That's another reason of many why it's wrong. Just having faith and a belief in God, you really think that's going to keep the demons from coming back and not coming back 7 times worse? No, it will not. That's not my opinion any more than all religions are equal in the eyes of God. Some things are blatant falsehoods, and we're always going to point it out and say they are. What's false, what's truth. That's why we're out in the mainstream, because these people need to hear that. We have to be Paul in Antioch. We have to be St. Patrick in Ireland, all right? There wasn't just, Catholics everywhere, or just even Christians as far as that goes. And a lot of Christians, even Catholics, of course, need to be directed back to the church. Sometimes they get so engulfed with some concept that it totally puts them on the wrong path. Now, if you're breaking the commandments, how am I going to find a way that you're not breaking the commandments, or how are you going to explain to me that you're not breaking that commandment? Are you going to justify why you stole something, for example? Family's hungry, so I robbed the bank. You're going to get people like that. They justify this stuff. And then you'll ask them what you did, and they tell you, and they do this all the time in these haunted cases, as diabolical possessions, whatever. They'll, I tried that. And then you'll find out they really didn't. They just gave up right away, the defeatist attitude. Self-help is key. You got to get to the faith and strong. And this stuff, like Billy Graham says, I don't care to criticize Billy Graham. He took people to the church door and then left them there. Like just declaring that Jesus is your Lord and Savior? What? It doesn't say that anywhere in the Bible. You can't go that route. That doesn't work. It's not enough. You're going to get possessed again, and this time they may kill you. If they can kill you, they will. Or if they can use somebody else to kill you, or an accident, or anything else. Take this seriously. This is why I don't like people in this business or work any more than any of the exorcists who don't know what they're doing. We have to evangelize to the people, anyone, whoever. We have to have the apologetics down too, because people will say, hey, don't you worship the Blessed Mother? I got a video on that, so I don't have to answer it here. There's a lot of misconceptions out there. We're going to explain it because the biggest and fastest way to get through is to dive into the sacraments. But some people aren't Catholic, but they can use some of the sacramentals and so forth, or even attend a Mass and get the benefits. It's not fully, because they're not fully in the body of church. But we're always going to peddle the oldest Christian denomination and the power of it. No matter what people think, it's politically incorrect, it's disrespecting. We're not here to be politically correct. Do you think Jesus got hung on a cross? Why do you think he got hung on a cross, in other words? He wasn't politically correct. Well, I'll make that one. But I prefer to stay here as long as I can to do as much good as I can, because even the saints wrote about certain times in the period, such as we live in, would be a time to live in where you can really do more service of God. And the problem is most people aren't doing it. They're there for their own glorification. They just want to get another feather in their cap by closing another case. The case is closed. Good job. High five. Shall we be talking that the goals of pride? How about curiosity? Pride as in, I want to show my trophies. I want to play my EVPs. I want to play my pictures. I want to produce my own TV show like Ghost Hunters or Zach Baggins or whatever. And these are off the mark. You're leading people to the steps, but you're not going any further. What's going to happen? Think about this. What happens if they die right now? If you don't get them far enough in, they're going to get killed. And it could be suicide too. And don't expect, nothing to go well unless you learn how to truly evangelize and to get them to do something besides reading the Bible every day. For good grief, these people are chronic. When they say you got to change your diet to get rid of type 2 diabetes, do you think they can just go on and do all the stuff they did before, drinking all the soda and beer and, and having all these carbs or whatever, and go on as nothing's normal? You're going to have to do it probably for the rest of your life, for the most part. That's the way it is in this, too. Once you've been affected in a major way where you actually need people help and you need the church to come in there and do something besides the blessing of the sick, a.k.a. exorcisms, church-sanctioned exorcism, minor or major rite, something along that line, that you've let things go so long in your life that you are spiritually damaged and you need repair. You're sick spiritually. And if you don't see it that way on the other people as a team or as yourself for self-help, you're not going to get anywhere, and you're just going to go back to your old ways. You'll do it slowly. So you gave up alcohol. Okay, like that's going to solve everything. Was that the main reason the demon was there? Was it really? Or was it something else? What other commandments do you consistently break and make excuses for? Things that are obviously a sin, okay? And that's what it comes down to, the most basics. But in this grave matter of spiritual warfare, demonic activity and everything, don't play the politically correct game, the wishy-washy. You want to be popular in Facebook as a ghost group, or you want to have thousands of followers. So we can go on and on about that, and I think that everything I'm saying is totally relevant, even if I repeat it out of the purpose of making sure it's been emphasized and enhanced and bold printed and circled in a pen. That don't forget the ultimate goal is to get them to the faith. Don't do the minor stuff. It's not going to work for type 2 diabetes. You can't do just a little bit. You can't be just a little bit Christian, for example, talking to all denominations on this level. You need to go in harder than other people because you're the one infected with this diabolical itis. You'll get it again. You're like the heart person who's got to lay off of stuff, stress and salt and all this other stuff. You're no different, in that way, that you're going to be restricted to this spiritual diet. And if you don't do enough of it, you're going to get it again. And this time it could be fatal. They do stop your heart. They cause irregular heartbeats. They do all of that stuff. And your doctor just, I don't understand why your doctors, oh gosh, don't get me started on them guys. And I don't care if you're a doctor or not. I would consider being a surgeon. Surgeons are miracle workers. The fact that they can actually reassemble, not using those combat staples they use. They look like it came out of an office stapler. It's hideous what they do, and they probably were forced to do that for low insurance terms, like, oh, we can't afford to give you better staples. Don't get me started. All right, guys, appreciate the fact where I'm coming from on everything, and let us know that everybody's too soft. We have to come out and say this is serious. We raise our voice. We have attitude, you might say, but it's not about pride. I'm not on some public display being a drama person for some no reason. This is serious stuff, and it needs to be spoken on a serious level, because Franciscan isn't all about, well, you really should really try to avoid sinning. I mean, what do you think? What kind of stuff you're reading? We're more kind of, peace loving and all that stuff, but you can only watch war go on for so long before you have to actually go out and defend your family at the foot of your property. You just can't sit there and do nothing the whole time. In some cases, people are just going to pray, like we have those stories in the Bible. Other people are going to have to do. When you're a physical body, you should, and you have no choice, you're going to have to get your butt out of the house and go out there and defend your property line. So there's always a time and a place for all of this stuff. All right? So take it easy on us when we're talking the truth, and it doesn't seem like we're all happy and all that kind of stuff. We're happy, sure, fine. God bless everybody. The Art of the Deals is signing out, and I'll see you later. Rather, you'll see me. God bless.